Okay, I think it's time to get this started. Let's see. Let's transition in. Good morning. All right. I am here. I made it. 9:30 is working so much better than it's just 9:30 is a lot better than 8:30. So I hope everybody's having a good Sunday, a good holiday weekend. I've mostly been working and packing and just getting ready for the big move. I head out tomorrow. So, but yeah, I am just packing and getting ready, and by packing, I'm kind of really, this is how it's working. I am just going around the house and saying, "You're coming with me," putting it in the van. When the van is full, I'm going to go. That's basically the first trip. I'm just taking all of, the important things are coming first. I don't want to bring too much. All right. The last thing I want to do is take all of my stuff, dump it into the new place, and then try to figure out where to put it all, and then figure out I have too much stuff, and then I get crowded. The whole part of this move process is to do it slow over the summer. I'm basically, the move begins tomorrow, and I am leaving on Memorial Day. I'm going to leave probably 10 o'clock to almost midnight at the end of Memorial Day. And the plan is to have everything moved, situated, and in place by Labor Day. And then this way I can hit September situated in the house, relax for September and October, and then November, December, January, February, and March are going to be the hardcore work months. So that's the plan. And I've got two big projects I've got lined up for the winter. I usually like to have two projects that work off of each other. So I'm going to be working on my first graphic novel. I'm going to be working on my first graphic novel, just one chapter, to try to illustrate it throughout the winter, to sort of show an example of what I am trying to do with that project. And then I've got a series of paintings based on my trip to India that I am trying to finish up this winter and get that done and out of the way, because it's kind of been sitting on the sideline for about 4 years, and I would try to have it done like 5 years ago. So my whole move to Colorado is just so that I can have a better sort of funnel focus on the core of my work, and just to be able to just get everything done, because I'm starting to get to the point where I have a lot of projects that are started that I want to finish, and I'm starting to run out of time. So I figure I've got 15 to 20 good years left. So I found the perfect place to be able to settle into, that's got a good bit of art, like tourism that comes through, that I can potentially market to. But then there's a lot of good down quiet time where I can focus on the work. Because a lot of my creative work needs to sort of, we're talking 3-4 weeks of just really hardcore, right on the edge of creating like big projects take a lot of time and a lot of energy. When I did the cards for the Arcane Arena board game, when I did the artwork for it, that took 2 years. And luckily because the pandemic gave me the ability of the space where nothing else to do. So that's part of why I'm moving to Colorado, and the place that I have found that I'm moving to. So And this on the screen that you see is what I was working on yesterday. Um, these are two bighorns that I came across in one of my first trips. I've been out to Georgetown now about a dozen times, and each time I've fallen in love with it so much that I'm actually going to live there. So, but that first time I drove out there, and I was really starting to think about, yeah, this. Why am I not living here at this point in my life? I can like, there's nothing holding me anywhere. I can live in a place that I can be inspired and I can focus on my work and walk everywhere. So I ended up walking up. Oh, well, I ended up not walking up. I drove up this little pass to go to an overlook to the town because the town is about 8,500 feet above sea level. So I'm going to be above 8,000 feet, living above 8,000 feet. And then there's four big mountain peaks that go up around me that go over 10,000 feet. I mean, in the morning, it takes not till about 9 or 10 in the morning for that sun to finally hit the pavement because of the shadow the mountain gives to the sun in the morning. So, but man, the stars at night. Oh wow, the stars at night there are just spectacular. And anyhow, so I go up to the overlook, and you know, I admit, cliche wise, I'll say once in a while, like if I'm on the edge trying to figure out what to do with my life, I'm like, give me a sign, you know, just give me a sign, just to kind of put my thoughts into order. And at the lookout, I turn around and I see these two looking at me. They're like across the street, and they're up on the cliff, and they're just kind of sitting there watching me, just having this existential dilemma of, do I move my whole life here to this new place in the mountains? Do I move into Colorado? And Aries being my sign, and seeing, you know, Aries as being a high energy, chaotic sign, which is really great for creative endeavors. And, but being able to see these two looking back at me, and here's the original photo. This is the photo of them. These are them. And this is I had to zoom into this. It's not like I'm right up on them. I'm across the street from them, and they're and behind me is this big valley, and I'm looking down onto Georgetown, where they have the historic marker. And I turn around, and they're literally looking at me like this. And then you turn around and you look at this, and it's your sign. And I asked for a sign. It was just, you know, it makes you look at things a little bit closer in that moment. You don't make necessarily the decision based on that, but it just makes you like, okay, what are the pluses? What are the minuses? So anyhow, so I took this photo, and what I'm doing is trying to make a it's one of the first times I took one of my photographs that I do. I'm mainly an oil painter, but I've been getting into photography because the phones are just getting phenomenal. And then I'm also doing digital painting now, but this is the first attempt that I had at sort of taking a one of my photographs and try to start creating or turning it into a digital painting. So bring it into Photoshop, and then you start working on it. And then ultimately, I want to take this and I'm creating a sticker for it. And then also today, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and take this, because I also want to add it to the Forever is Fleeting frame for this week. I think that should be big enough. So let me come in here and let's put it right there. And let's scale this. And put it right there. Okay. So this is going to be the Forever is Fleeting frame for the week. Normally what I try to do with Creative Coffee with this series on Saturdays and Sundays is ultimately create a frame where I'm just, I don't know, it's kind of like a meme, it's kind of like a Sunday comic, but it's not necessarily like a funny. It's just like little clips and scenes and photographs. It's an outlet for my it's become an outlet for my photography, and then doing a little bit of digital work on top of it, and then putting it into some sort of presentation form. And then this series is called Forever is Fleeting, and it's an exercise that I do that I've created to help me practice doing composition work for the graphic novel that I want to do. So I'm trying to work out a style, and I'm also trying to work out a way that I'm going to do the frames and the font and all of that. So, but I do like the font that I did here. I'm going to kind of set this up now because this is what I want to get out today. Let's go here, and then I want to erase this. So yeah, I'm just gonna erase this so I can fill it in with something new. I've got the upper caption ready, but yeah, this looks good. I like that. So what I do is every weekend, where I've tried to, I've missed 3 weeks, and I apologize for that because I realized that I was trying to do this at 8:30 in the morning, and I shifted it yesterday to 9:30, and I think that's where I'm going to go with it now, because this morning I woke up and I was like, oh my God, 8:30. I was like, oh wait, I moved it to 9:30, and it was that extra hour there that I was like, okay, yeah, this was the right move. So it feels a little bit better. So I want to try to keep doing this. The goal is to do this as whenever the time is available on my Saturdays and Sunday mornings, to do this, with the hope that by the end of the year, I get a nice, comfortable collection with everything. So, all right, so let's get this caption. I know what I want the captions to be today. So I think I'm okay here with the, hold on. Oops. All right, let's get you a little bit bigger. Why are you doing that? You should not be on that. Huh? That's so weird. Oh, I see what you're doing. There we go. I accidentally had my eraser set to be the pen, so that wasn't working. You're erasing something and it's putting stuff down. So, all right, here we go. B. All right, bring you down. Gotta bring it down even more. That's not what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be black. All right. Bring it down a little bit more. A little up a little bit. I've got that up too high. I think I need to expand this a little bit, just for the moment. There we go. Move that over just a little bit. And let's shrink that just a little bit. So one of the things that I like to do is come up with like series or exercises or practices that if I have a big project coming down the road, like a graphic, like doing the artwork and writing a graphic novel, part of it is like, I've never done that before, but you kind of try to figure out, well, what are the things that I need to know how to do to be able to do that project, and then create smaller sort of series of projects that where you can just focus on learning this one thing really, really well, but then you can still produce a body of work out of it that you can, you know, I hate to say that we have to monetize, but we have to be, as a professional artist, we have to make money. And one of the good approaches is try to do it so that everything, even the things that you're doing to practice, your sketches, your practice series, like I'm doing these to practice for that, I can still take this in a bundle and I can put it together and I can have it as something that I can market. And that's important. You know, it's like cutting down your waste, and I can, in a safe, smaller area, practice a skill set that I need for the bigger project. And then I might, once I finish that for a few months, I can then go to another project that will work on something else. It's one of the reasons why I did the artwork for the Arcane Arena when somebody asked me to do the artwork for a game, and I had never done that before, but I knew that I could do it. But I also knew that that would be good practice for wanting to do the graphic novel. So it's like you have to, as an artist or a creative, know what kind of projects you want to do, and then figure out what are the things that you need to learn, and figure out how to do, and what are the tools that you need to gather to be able to do that. And the hard part is to just say, okay, I'm going to do this big project and I'm going to do it right now. And then you realize you have all of these things that you need to learn, and then it all just comes crashing down on top of you. Because I've been there too, where I've jumped on something and I try to do something and I go like a few months because like I just go just full steam with it, you know, without sort of working up towards that speed, and you just burn out and you crash and you have to start again. Yeah, so let me go ahead and I want to shrink down this box, Because one of the things that I'm going to have to do, and one of the parts of this exercise that's important is I I try to cut the part of perfection out of the production. And the idea is to get to this place where you can produce on a mass scale, consistent in aesthetic and look and speed, to be able to produce 1,000 or so frames over the course of a couple of years. You got to get into a good workflow with that, or else it's just, you're going to just get nowhere. Oops. Did I grab it? No, I didn't grab it. Hold on. I gotta grab it. Grab that and grab that. Let's see. Why didn't you grab the other one? Keep forgetting in AutoCAD for multiple select. In AutoCAD, it's you gotta hold the control key down, and in Adobe, it's you gotta hold the shift key down. That's some of the frustrating things that when you have to work across platforms is just standards just are different, and it gets exhausting sometimes having to remember. Do I want that to be green, or do I want to go back to that pink that I had? I don't know. I know. I think I am going to choose an orange. Let's start with something that's in here. Let's go to it and pull it a little bit more towards the orange, pull it this way. Let's see how that goes. I like that, but it's too dark. That's better. I like that. We're going to use orange for operations. So I color code a lot of things just because it helps me remember things across all of the different mediums that I use and projects that I'm working on. All right, so let's go to this top caption, and I'm gonna be cheesy with this one. I'm gonna be cheesy with this one. I ultimately need to create a font. I like, and it took me about 2 months to get to this, but the way that I wrote Operation Colorado with the light that surrounds it and the shadow, I really like how that turned out. This logo for the Forever is Fleeting with the speckle pattern behind, I kind of like it for that too. That was sort of like my first attempt, Operation, like the way that I write the letters for Operation Colorado. I like that because that's just, it's really easy to see that, but I like using that as a sort of title font. Up here, I don't use the light around it, and I just use a shadow. That's it. I'm gonna be cheesy with this one. I'm gonna probably have to rewrite this. Oh, okay, good. I am not doing that straight. Forward, move ahead. Am I gonna make it? Woo! I hit that almost perfect. I'm just going to shrink it just a little. Wow, it was almost perfect. Okay, cool. I think that shadow needs to come down. That's a little bit too much on that shadow. I'm going to that's a little bit better. 12? 10? 10's good. Spread of 15. Distance 6. That looks good. All right, we will go with that. Oh, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't like that. Maybe the oh, there we go. Bring the opacity down. Because I just wanted to give it, I wanted to just give it just a little bit of depth. But I don't want to, you know, that's sometimes a hard part with shadows is getting the contrast between the object and the shadow just right so that the shadow isn't overbearing and you lose the sense of the edge between the contrast. But then where it's just too faded away where you don't see it and it doesn't have an effect. All right. I like that. Now the question being is, I should have flippin' linked it. Let's try that. I'm going to go to this, and then I'm going to save this as it is in the operation column. It is there. Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Bighorn modified. Okay, good. So now let's go back to this. Ooh, I need to save this as. Oops. All right. Save it as Bighorns. By the way, technically, the road that I saw these bighorn on is actually technically the street that I'm going to be living on. So it's just interesting that how that all worked out. And this was like about 2 years ago when I ran across these two. They I don't know. It was just, again. Let's go back to the photo. Here they are. When you're, and the thing is, these bighorn are big. They are almost the size of deer. At first I thought they were deer. And then I looked at the horns and I was like, oh my God, you are huge. And, oh, I forgot to press the record button today. Bite me. Oh well. Anyhow. But yeah, so it's just like you're standing there and you think you're there by yourself and you're up on the high lookout, looking out onto down the valley. And you turn around and these two are like we're looking right at me. So you turn around and these two, like you see these two big creatures looking and just staring at you. You kind of take notice of that moment. And the thing is it's like they saw me, they were aware of me, and they were calm and they were collected. They were also up on a high rock, like up on a high sort of little cliff area at about 30 feet above me. So it's not like, this was zoomed in. So it's not like I was like right up on them. So, but I was like, yeah, if this place can make Aries energy be like this, I need to live there. And so now I am going to make them into stickers. And I'm making them I'm including them in this strip. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to, because otherwise I'm going to end up with I will end up with a divergent situation. Okay, so here's the original. This is the original photo, and then I brought the photo in, and I did this with it in Photoshop. And now I'm taking it from here. I want to put it on the sticker, and then I also want to put it on here. But the problem is if I finalize this sticker and I finalize this frame, I get a divergent situation where if I keep working on the sticker in one direction, I keep working on this in another direction, they're not going to be the same. So I want them to link up. So I have this original folder or this original file, and I've got it. I'm going to save this as, just so we're clear, as original. And then now I'm going to come into this bighorn, and then I am going to, where is it? Place linked. This is a good tool or thing to know how to do. I used this when I was doing Arcane Arena, where I did all of the artwork for all of the cards individually, but then I linked them into the Illustrator. Like I did the artwork in Photoshop, but I did the cards in Illustrator. So I link the artwork from the originals to come into the Illustrator file for each of the individual cards, so that I can keep working on the art. And then when I opened up the card files, all of the art was always updated. So I'm going to place linked. And then what I'm going to do is Bighorn Original, and I'm going to place it. And they're going to place it, and we're going to see how big it comes in. And there it is. So I want this to go here, and then I want to kind of do this because I want it to be here. Yeah, so like right that. So now here's the cool thing. Now I can go back and I'm just going to do this as an example. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go with this. I'm just going to go with the yellow. I'm just going to go like that. And let's save it. And now if I come back here, it automatically updates this. So I don't want to modify this, the image in this file. I want to always modify. There, I'm just gonna delete. God, I love computers. And then I'm gonna save it again. So it saves, 45%, 70%. Okay, done. 90, are you done? All right, and now it's updating. And now if I go back here, that yellow squiggle is now gone. And then I'm gonna do it for the sticker too. So like, here's where I'm gonna modify the original. And then from here, it will feed into this file in Photoshop and this file in Photoshop so that the image on this sticker and the image in this frame will be exactly the same with whatever I do in the original file. I hope that makes sense. So it's when you like, again, that's when I worked on Arcane Arena. I had 46 different pieces of artwork I had to do that had to go onto 46 different cards. So I had to have the cards in the Illustrator, like the outline and the design and the graphic design for the cards, the frame for the cards, all of the text on the cards in the Illustrator. And then I had the artwork sort of link embedded into the cards in Illustrator from Photoshop so that I can go into Photoshop and I can keep working and modifying the artwork, but then I can go into the Illustrator file and then see that it updates it automatically in that file. So I don't have to keep importing it every time I modify it. So it saves a lot of time. When you get that set up correctly, it saves a lot of time in production. Now I'm going to have to do this for the graphic novel for basically every single frame in a graphic novel. So each frame is going to probably be, each frame will probably be its own art file in Photoshop. And then I will probably have that embedded linked into Adobe InDesign for the layout of it. And this way I can work on the layout. And then also in like I have like one area in InDesign, I can work on the layout of where all of the different frames are going to line up with each other in the book. But then in the Photoshops, I can go in there and I can work on the artwork. And then as I'm updating the artwork, the InDesign file is updating the book, the graphic novel itself. So that's going to be the process for that. We are at 10:11. So in regards to this frame, I mean, this is going to be good enough for today. I'm going to keep working on it so that it'll ultimately update itself. But for today, this will be good to get this out there. And I like that orange that I found. Ooh. Let's spend 10 minutes working on this tree. So, easiest thing to do is going to be to take Okay, so the easiest thing to do is I'm just going to kind of take this and then I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to rotate that because I'm going to modify, I will modify this so it's not going to be exactly the same. I mean, that's good enough for this purpose. So now, again, I want to show you how this works. I'm going to save this now in here, and it's going to save. Takes a little bit of a moment. I'm working, I just want to show you that the resolution that I'm working on with this. Let's go to the image size. I'm working on this at 21 inches by 12 inches height at 600 DPI. So I'm working on this at a really high resolution because like the idea is I'll be able to print this out up to 24 inches wide is what I want to be able to do with this without losing a sense of resolution. So like I work on the original files, get worked on at very, very high resolution, and I've got to like I have the powerful computer to be able to do that. But yeah, so I'm working at a big scale inside of Photoshop at 600 DPI. And DPI is dots per inch. You know, that's your printing resolution. Anything beyond photographic is 1200 to 2400. But honestly, anything beyond 600 is like, with my eyesight and my vision these days, I wouldn't be able to notice. I won't be able to notice. So anyway, I saved that. If I come over here now, if you notice that little tree area that I just saved and did over there is already updated in this. And if I had it, I don't have it linked yet, but I'm going to. And if I had it linked, well, here you're not going to see it. But if I had it in here, it would modify that at the same time. So this way, I'm working on creating the stickers, and I'm working on the frame, and I'm working on working on 3 products at the same time. I'm working on what's going to be the print, which is here, which is the original. I'm working on the sticker, and I'm working on this frame all at the same time, simply by just working on it here. 3 products at the same time. That's streamlining your workflow. It's taken me 20 years to figure that out. So, I do feel there's the biggest issue that I feel like check it out. Like if you zoom in here, you can kind of look at my scribbles. I'm just kind of scribbling in here. And then what I'll do is ultimately, I'll come in here and smooth it out with the smudge tool. Kind of clean it up. I like to do what's called blurring the edges. You know, so I'm just kind of, you know, putting layer upon layer with the shadow and the light. So now if I pull out, it's going to make that line work blend in there just a little bit better. But I never want to get it perfect. So like one of the things that I've got in my style is there's this sort of chaotic scratchiness to the line work where I just do it as like if like I just do it, I just get into the moment and I go. I don't think about it. You get into it, you just do. Okay, like I'll put in a filter as like, okay, I'm gonna work on the shadows. I'm gonna focus my eyesight on the shadows, and I want to kind of catch that. Like I really want to try to work on the contrast between the light and the shadows. So you look for the edge between the light and the shadows, and then you just go there, and then you just try not to think because you're trying to think with your eyes. Like I will look at it and I'll be like, okay, I want this ear to pop out, so I need to have a light edge on top of this ear. And then that will help just in this one little top corner. And then that's going to help pop that ear. That simple, just scratchy line where it just pulls that ear out. That edge between this ear and then the shadow. And then if I wanted to come in, and then I can come in and just put a little line of darkness there. And that's really going to define that edge. All right. But then I don't need to go to that level of detail everywhere because there's parts of it where I want it to be blurry. It's like usually you want to, in your work, you want to put the most detailing on where you want the viewer's eye to go. And so that and then you want the things that are going to be from that point where that focal point is the stuff that's going to be in the peripheral, your peripheral vision. You want that to kind of blur. You want to, because you don't want that level. You don't want like high level of sharp precision everywhere in the image. I mean, there are times when you want to do that just for a certain aesthetic that you're going for. But if you're trying to like evoke a sense of atmosphere and emotion and pull the person, pull the viewer into the composition, you want to have those focal points. That's where you want to do the detail work. And then when they're focusing on that detail work, you want the stuff in the peripherals to be able to be like slowly less detailed. So like the further you get away from the focal point, the less detail that you put, to the point where it's just almost blurry. So yeah, I do have an issue of the transition because if you remember, we did change the head. So I'm still having a issue with this sort of purple area and this yellow area. I made a mistake there. When I flattened the image to put the head onto the body, I didn't make the head solid again. I still kept the opacity on it, but then now it got blended in with the other layer. So now I'm kind of got to work with it. So, which is fine. It'll be fine. It's not a fire. All right. I want to define the edge of this jaw. And the edge of this nose. Again, I'm doing scratchy line work because I'm going to ultimately blur it in. I'm going to blend it in. I'm just trying to get the tone correct and just trying to balance out the transition for the head down to the lower part of the body. And then come in with this. go up to 100. What this does now, it's helping to transition between the two areas that I seamed together. See, and what I'm going to do is, so like, yeah, it looks scratchy and it looks like scribble, 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 but then you come in and you do this to it. This with the, but I want to leave some of that because that's some of the, like, sort of the texture of the horns. It has this sort of scratchiness to it. So there, that's helping to kind of transition this, making this head look a little bit more like it's fitting right. Get the shadow up there. It's a little bit better. And now I want to take in some of this purple and I want to go over to the left guy. Left one, and I want to bring some depth to his shoulders. I guess I should, let's see. Trying to capture, bring some of this line work back in for the plants. Plants got a little bit blurry. We'll probably add a little bit more green there. Extending the edge a little bit. Again, a lot of my work, it's just, I call it just blurring the edges. You know, blur the edges between where something begins and where it ends, with something where that begins and ends. Because when your audience is viewing your work, they're viewing your painting and they're viewing your piece, a lot of it is about the move. You want to move the person's eye. You want to control that person's eye movement. Not necessarily like in any sense of order. You want sort of a flow. There's a flow to the story in the painting or the piece that you want their eye to follow. And when I talk about blurring the edges, it's again, that eye is going to be moving so fast. Like if you've got one focal point and you want to move them from one focal point of the piece to another focal point, and then you typically have a third one that counterbalances the other two, and then it creates a flow in the piece, and then it's just however you want to work that. And as their eye is moving, you know, between those focal points, you want the edges of that texture and the shadow and the light you want to blur it. You don't want to have it too sharp. You don't want it to be distracting, because you mostly want the viewer to focus on the focal point, and the transitions between them is just, you know, like the scenery outside the window as you're driving down the highway type of thing, as you're transitioning between focal points in a piece. All right, I think I'm going to kind of bring this one in for a landing. See, what I'm doing is I'm keeping some of it, blurring some of this line to keep the scratchiness, but then I'm also sort of smudging it to make it again, just trying to bring depth to, you know, now I'm trying to make making the two heads balance each other. So there'll be a bunch of layers balancing both of these heads so that the lighting feels consistent between it. I mean, the one on the right's got a little bit more purple in the shadow than the left. So, you know, it's not quite balanced, but watch here. I'll go ahead and save this. One last thing I do want to do is I want to go ahead and fix this part up here. And I want to lasso this one more time. And no, deselects. I want this to be there we go. This is where I want it. I want to add, there we go. And then I'm going to copy, paste, and move. I'm going to move this here, and I'm going to rotate it that way. And then I'm going to squeeze it just a little bit there. Rotate. There we go. There we go. Now I'm going to save it here. Oh, I do one more thing I want to do. I want to get this smudge tool. Oh, it's updating. I want to get this smudge tool, and I'm going to come here, and then I'm just going to pull some of this up like that, and then maybe do a little, there we go. And I want to, there. Now I'm going to save this. And now it's updating. And if I go back to here, if you notice, that change was done to this frame and this image. Again, it's a way to save time in your process. You know, you work on have a original piece, and then you're filtering it into maybe multiple product lines between like in this case, I'm creating a sort of graphic novel type frame for it. And then also creating a sticker on with it that this would update as well. And this is the original, which will also be a print. So working on 3 different products at the same time, so that when they're done, they're going to be all ready to go and all formatted. They're all being formatted at the same time. So anyhow, that was for today. I will see you next week. I will be doing this next week. I don't know how I will be doing this next week because I probably won't have internet yet in my new studio. But next week, I will probably be doing this from my new studio. We'll probably have to be raw and rough doing it through my phone, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Anyhow, have a good week and